Shalom, shalom, everybody. I want to take a step back and blow your mind to our situation today in the land of Israel and really get a better understanding. All right, ready for this? So yes, I keep on telling you, we're in this existential war against our Islamo-Nazi enemies that right now, this point in time, is being led by Iran, together with their terror proxies, but it's together with the Sunnis, right? Because Iran are the Shiite Muslims. The Sunnis are behind it, Qatari money, the Palestinian Authority, right? Muslim Brotherhood, all Sunnis. We're in this existential war, religious war. All right, now let's take a step back. Thankfully, the real offense in this war began after Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenstock left the government in the middle of the war. They abandoned the Israeli people in the middle of the war because they were probably given orders from the Biden administration, because they were the stooges of the Biden administration trying to stop the war effort and trying to topple Netanyahu and his government in the middle of the war, right? They were Biden stooges. So the real offensive in the war began after they abandoned the Israeli people, right? They're the ones who talk like, we're for the people, we're unity, and they left the government in the middle of a war. It was supposed to be a unity government, because a unity government we should have in order to fight our enemies, right? So it shows you the backstabbing of the left in the middle of a war. Okay. I want to help you understand how we got to where we are today, because thankfully we have a government that is behind fighting this war to total victory as much as possible. Everything, the way the army has been told to fight this war for a total victory is only because we have a right-wing, strong, proudly Jewish government without the center-left, who were the ones trying to stop the war throughout the time. They did not to go into Gaza, not to go into Lebanon, right? They were always trying to stop the war. How did we get to this point where we have this type of government right now? Well, let's take a step back. But for years, there have been court cases taken out or made public against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Just over the past few years, there was Teak 1000, Teak 2000, Teak, that's case 1000, case 2000, case 3000, case 4000. And the media in Israel were pumping it. And they were pumping out leaks about the investigations that Netanyahu's gone. They're going to get rid of Netanyahu. It was all about trying to topple Netanyahu. Those of you who have been following me for years know I've been talking about the absolute politicization of the justice system in Israel, that they're, again, part of the deep state that are against having Israel be a strong Jewish country. They've always been working towards toppling Netanyahu and right-wing governments, because that goes against their agenda. They want Israel to remain totally beholden to America, and they want to be Israelis to Israel as French or to France, and Americans into America, without a strong Jewish character, and to bring the whole progressive agenda to Israel and weaken the Jewish character of Israel. And Netanyahu was the most successful political leader of the strong Jewish pride camp in Israel, because he represents that camp. They were always trying to get rid of him. So these latest cases over the past few years, case 1000, 2000, 3000, they were just the latest ones, because they've been trying to get rid and topple Netanyahu and get him out of politics, because they saw that he was the most successful one, for 30 years. I remember when Netanyahu came into power, first time as prime minister in 1996. And immediately after he came into power, they already started taking and creating these fabricated court cases to get rid of him. For 30 years, they've probably wasted billions and billions of dollars of our tax-paying money in order to try to get rid of Netanyahu. Okay? Now, what am I getting at? Again, my question was, how did we get to have this right-wing government today without even Gantz and Eisenkot, who, on the one hand, we want a unity government, but they were stopping us from being able to fight this war properly and defend ourselves and save our lives. So we're blessed to not have them in the government that they left on their own, really betraying the Jewish people and the Jewish state of Israel in the middle of a war. Right? I'm not saying they're traitors. I'm saying they were betraying us in the middle of a war to leave the government because there should be unity. Over the past few years, we had 1 year of like 5 elections. Why did that happen? Do you remember? Because the media pushed out the narrative and brainwashed the people to believe that Netanyahu was corrupt. And therefore it led politicians and the media to convince people to say, oh, we can't have Netanyahu as prime minister. So there was created what here in Israel is called the Rak Lo Bibi camp, meaning anything but Bibi. So you had all these parties. We went through those 5 different elections in 1 year, which is insane, because each time nobody could make a government because Bibi was the only one who would have been able to make a government. And parties said, no, we won't sit with Bibi. So we had to go back and forth, back into election, to another election, to another election, until finally we were able to make an all right-wing government. But it's only because, all right, and you know me, I'm a belief-based person. I don't know why God does things the way he does, but I try to look at how things happen and then try to give explanations. We only have a totally right-wing government today, really fighting to win this war as best as possible to protect Israel. It's only because of that everything but Bibi camp that was developed based on the fabricated court cases over the years. Because, listen, over the years, I had problems with Bibi, right? Because every time he set out to make a government, he never set out a totally Jewish right-wing government. He always brought in some fig leaf left-wing party, because part of Bibi's strategy was knowing, wait a second, if I don't bring in a left-wing party, I'm going to be crucified by the press, by the justice system, by the international community. So he always made sure to have a left-wing party, and he always gave them like plum positions with influence, either the foreign ministry or the defense ministry. So Israel was never able to have truly right-wing policies with him as prime minister for all of his previous governments for years, because we always had the left part of the government influencing the government. Because again, Bibi understood he had to have that in order to fend off the dogs from the justice system, from the media, who'd be attacking him anyway, but they'd be attacking him even more. Until today, that whole not Bibi camp created the political environment that brought about to finally have a totally right-wing, proudly Jewish government of parties that is allowing us to fight the war we have today. What am I getting at? Because we're always being brainwashed by agendas. The media is always pushing out agendas, and they always trying to make people think as if it's the right thing, right? You can't vote for Bibi because he's corrupt. All these cases made it seem like he was corrupt. They're all fabricated cases, right? They're all falling apart. I'm not just saying this. Even the left-wing media in Israel is finally saying that it was a mistake to go after the cases. They're not admitting because they were fabricated, but they're admitting that they failed, right? So they're falling apart. All those 1,000, 2,000, but you won't see it in the media because they're embarrassed to talk about it, because they were pushing it for years, how corrupt Bibi is, right? But they make people think, oh, we can't vote for Bibi because he's corrupt, right? I know people, friends, people I'm close with. They wouldn't vote for Bibi anymore because they were made to believe, because when every single day you get the message, oh, he's corrupt, oh, another case, they're like, he's corrupt, I can't vote for him, right? I don't want him to be prime minister. So that was an agenda. I'll give you an example in America. Listen, all the gender thing stuff, where does it start from? It starts from making people think, oh, you have to respect people how they feel. Well, you make people feel guilty and you make them feel bad and evil if you don't have empathy for people's feelings. Oh, he feels like a girl, he feels like a boy, he feels like a cat, he feels like a dog, right? It makes you feel like, oh, you're bad if you don't support the initiatives that help those people with whatever issues they are, right? I'm just giving that one issue. But if you think about it, every single issue is pushed with an agenda to make you feel, by the media every single day, to make you're only good if you support X, right? And they make you feel bad, and you're a bad person if you don't support that. Now we come to today, because the left has failed in toppling the Netanyahu government during this war, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to topple the government. Again, the Biden-Harris administration has been starting since day one to stop us from fighting. The Israeli left has been following the orders of the Biden-Harris administration to try to topple Netanyahu government, and they've failed. The government is still in power. It is still unified to continue, and the Israeli people are unified. So they tried to use the hostage issue, the captive issue, that it's all Bibi's fault that they're not freed, and he keeps on ruining the ceasefire deals, even though it's Hamas, and we're dealing with Islamo-Nazi enemies who we shouldn't even be talking to, just totally destroying and saving our captives that way. So every single agenda that they've tried to use during this war to topple the government has failed. And now they finally came up with a successful campaign that I don't think will topple the government, but it's dividing it's dividing the public that supports the Israeli government. And I'm referring to the ultra-Orthodox draft issue. Because there's a lot of pain and anger in Israel that, yes, that there is a community of ultra-Orthodox Jews who do not serve as much in the army. There are some numbers that serve, but as a whole, as a generalization, they don't serve. And the left picked up on the issue because a law has to be passed now. I'm not going into the details, but a law has to be passed now dealing with the issue. And the national religious public, upon which I am, we right now are paying the highest price of losses in this war. Many of the orphans and the widows created in this war are from our community because we're a very idealistic community. We believe in learning Torah and we believe in serving in the army. And the left has used this ultra-Orthodox draft issue to create a wedge between the national religious and the ultra-Orthodox, who are both partners in this unity government, because they're making the national religious, they're playing upon the true pain of the national religious public and anger to try to topple this government by creating this wedge before the two communities. Now, you know me, I haven't really talked about the ultra-Orthodox draft issue that much, and I'm in the process of publishing an article, and I should be making a video about it as well. But in general, it's a real issue that has to be solved. If the army wanted to solve it, they could have solved it years ago, and it's a societal issue, and it has to be dealt with again and solved. The people who are causing the most problems for it not to be solved is actually the people screaming about it for years, and the army itself that hasn't really come up with the solutions to make it happen. But it's going to happen. And again, it's a real issue that has to be solved. It's going to happen. And when it does happen, when the army finally does make the changes necessary to allow ultra-Orthodox men to comfortably draft into the army and serve in the Israeli army, it's going to change the army. And the people screaming for the change on the left, they've been using it as a political wedge issue to harm the right and to delegitimize and demoralize the Israeli public and especially the ultra-Orthodox community. They're going to end up screaming because of what the changes it will bring upon the army when many ultra-Orthodox Jews finally do draft into the army. All right, but that's just an aside, because I'll get into the details a little bit later. But this is a headline issue in Israel, and it's just sad because too many people are not recognizing that while it's a real issue, again, it's being used as an political agenda wedge issue by a very well-funded, powerful, elite, deep state left in Israel, taking advantage in order to try to create division in the government to try to topple it. I don't believe they're going to succeed, but it just pains me to see just the anger being created by this campaign in Israel between the national religious and the ultra-Orthodox. Again, all for politics. It's a real issue that has to be solved, but the headlines that you might be seeing in the news, I don't know how much is being talked about abroad, but if you're watching in Israel, here in Israel, it's headline news everywhere. It's all a real issue being taken advantage of for a political campaign, and not enough people are aware of that. So yeah, a real issue has to be solved, and I'm there about solving it, and you know me, I'm positive about when it's finally solved. It's gonna my advice to anyone who's on top of this issue is to, yes, support and if you're ultra-Orthodox, support and say, yes, army, make the changes necessary so we can come, and we'll come in huge numbers, because then we're going to have a more Jewish army, and it's going to be better for the whole Jewish people and the Jewish state of Israel. And again, get into this more detail another time. Folks, signing off from the beautiful ancestral homelands of the Jewish people, the Judean hills. Here you get the behind the headlines, the belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect truth about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world. If you have any questions about this, you want to better understand it, send me your questions. And in the meantime, share this video so people can also better understand. But again, I want you to understand like the big picture of how blessed we are to be in this situation today. And who knows why things happen, but it's only because of all the fabricated cases against Netanyahu all these years and the hatred that they developed as a political agenda towards Netanyahu that we're finally in this situation to be fighting this war that was inevitable because Iran and the Islamo-Nazis have been planning it for decades. And it's only because of all their hatred to Netanyahu that we finally are able to be fighting properly today. So I'm giving you what we call in Hebrew, hafuch hafuch, like the opposite of the opposite. Everything looks bad, but I'm trying to give you the picture of how things have been played out to lead to the best possible scenario of a government to be dealing with a horrible situation. That's what you get from me. If you're not yet subscribed to the Pulse of Israel, go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe. And you know, we're a donor-based organization. We need your support in order to get our videos seen because we're heavily censored and shadow banned all over social media. So every once in a while, click on pulseofisrael.com. Shalom, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.